Hipster George Washington. Welcome to Hipster Code. So I'm back in the content examples, a sample project, because I specifically wanted to show a little bit in depth of the level scripting level that they have here to show how opening up the level blueprint will actually help you do some logic, maybe potentially a little bit easier than having to create a whole bunch of actors for something. So if we're in here, it sort of walks you through the content example sample project gives you several different levels to walk you through different Unreal concepts. And so this one is specifically about having trigger volumes do things within your level. Now we'll go on we'll talk more about the trade-off later. So here we actually have a place where we can go and trigger box use to open a door, and it's going to open up this Unreal Engine door. Then we have another trigger box here that is going to, event dispatch to open the door. And then you can see we can open this other door, and then this one's going to make it so that these coins appear. And now whenever you collect all these coins, blah, 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 there's no sound effects. Now we open this door, and then this door triggers a cinematic. Now, the cinematic seems like probably the most useful. The cinematic trigger seems like the most useful one because your cinematics will always be specific. Maybe not. Now that I think about it, that might not be true. But it's probably going to be mostly specific to your levels. But now that I'm thinking about it, lots of games reuse cinematics on multiple different levels. So now that I'm saying it out loud, that isn't even necessarily true. But my viewpoint is I don't really use level blueprints very often because I think you're trading ease of use for long-term code best practices. But that being said, maybe I need to start using them a little bit more often, especially if you have things that are very specific for one level. You can actually do some code there. So let me show you a quick example. I have a hipster level here. I actually just took their sample project default level and put in my own 2 trigger volumes. So now that we're going to go in here and play in hipster's level, we go over here to the left side, we make the left box disappear. We go over here to the right side, we make the right box disappear. Seemingly they're doing the same thing, but they're implemented different ways. So here on the left, I ended up using the level blueprint. So if you don't know what I'm talking about either, you can always go up here inside of a level. I always forget which one it is. So inside of a level, and you could do open level blueprint right here. And you can actually do code within your level. Now, again, this is not code that's going to exist out in any other level. So it is not something that's actually attached to your actors that you create or your blueprints that you create for your game as a whole. It's specifically tied to this level. But because this volume and this box are both specifically tied to this level, I have here just a trigger volume that I created up here with just this volume. So then I did trigger volume, and then I manipulated the size like so. This is a blueprint of just literally just a box. There's no other code around it other than it's just a cube, and it's called thing blueprint, thing BP. But what I did was I went into the level blueprint. I brought in the trigger volume. The 2 different ways that you can do that is you can actually drag it in like so, but I always thought that was so much more difficult. What I learned you can do very recently, as in 5 minutes ago before I hit the record button, is if you have the actor selected in the level, you go to your level blueprint, you right click, and you can just access add event for trigger volume here. And you can do the same with, say, your any other actor. So I have my thing BP selected here. I can now access thing BP. And of course, you see we have thing BP2. So it's a separate one. We can access thing BP2 here. So we're not accessing the class. We're accessing the specific instances of the blueprint in the level, or even just this generic trigger volume. Now, the other example that I have over here. And then essentially what I have is I have the trigger volume. Whenever you overlap it, it just destroys the actor. That's the entire logic of it. Now over here, what I have is the exact same thing blueprint, but I also have my own custom trigger blueprint here. And what the trigger blueprint does is it has a reference to the thing blueprint within the level. But this is able to be more customizable across multiple levels, because now I can go and use this trigger blueprint all over and attach it to whatever thing I want. But I had to do a little bit of logic here to set it up ahead of time. Let me get rid of this because I keep clicking on the wrong one. Oh, I clicked on I got rid of it. Hold on. Give me a second. But it grabs the reference. Make sure whenever you do so that you do instance editable here. Make sure that that's checked. Because now over here, I can go and find my reference to my Thing 2 blueprint. And whenever you walk over it, it destroys the actor just the same. Now, of course, I'm not saying it very well. The trade-offs in my viewpoint are using the level blueprint for something like this is a little bit quicker and easier, and a lot of people use it for prototyping. But in this specific instance, I would just take a few minutes and design your own triggers and then have them do their own customizable code for whatever you're trying to do in the level, and then you can reuse it wherever. Now, if you know it's going to be a one-time thing, I guess there isn't really necessarily that much of a downside to just doing a level blueprint logic for it. That being said, general coding best practices are if you're doing something more than once, you want to functionalize it, right? You want to make sure that you don't have to repeat yourself. So now that I have this trigger blueprint, I can go and drag it out as many times as I want and drag out as many, things as I want. And now I have another one over here. I can change the size of my box to be over here. And then I can make it, let me make it a little bit taller. And then I can make it so whenever you walk over it, it now destroys this thing. And so we can go here and we can destroy Thing 2, and then we destroy Thing 3. Right? And then it's more reproducible. You don't have to redo the logic over and over and over again. If you, okay, apparently I had some sort of bad reference, but we'll worry about that another time. I don't know what I did wrong. I'm sure it was obvious now that anybody's watching this retroactively. But if you do this, what you have to do is you have to go in and do the logic for your trigger volume over and over and over again. So I guess my best practice is if it's something you do multiple times, usually better to put it in a blueprint. If it's something you're doing once, I guess it's not really that big of a deal because then you're just going to have a whole separate blueprint for one event. It's not the end of the world if you put it here. That being said, if I was doing this as a test level and I want to take this over to another level, it's going to be much more difficult because I'm going to have to copy all the logic over to a different level blueprint. So those are just my thoughts on the subject. What are your thoughts on it? Do you disagree? How do you go and trigger things like this within your world? Do you use level blueprints? Do you use them just for prototyping? Do you avoid them at all? Do you find better use cases for them than what I'm talking about right here? Leave a comment down below. Again, I'm Hipster George Washington. This is Hipster Codes, trying to make videos every Wednesday at noon Central Time. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you in the next video.